An excerpt from Artifacts Across the Ages, a catalog for quest and commerce by Lili Frugfessa.
Many potent and mysterious artifacts date themselves to the time of the Dawn War, that prehistoric conflict between the gods and the primordials that shaped both space and time into their now familiar configurations. Compared to the most storied of these ancient weapons, such as the Rod of Seven Parts, the Wand of Orcus, or the Panoply of Twern, Lender's Matrix is a comparatively minor wonder. This can only be said, however, by grading on a curve of truly divine proportions. The Matrix takes its name from its creator, Lender, the Silver Dragon Exarch of Ioun, who presides over the natural progression of time. Records of the Dawn War indicate that Lender created this odd assemblage of glowing, multicolored shapes early in the conflict, entrusting it to a string of subordinates in the heavenly army of Ioun. Among them, far-seeing Davni, Henu-Temipet, and the fifth angel of what may be. Reportedly, it was the last of these who employed Lender's Matrix in a daring series of rescue actions after the Sundering of the Living Gate unleashed the forces of the Far Realm into the cosmos, while the Sphinx, Henu-Temipet, is said to have used the device to execute the ambush that felled Saifal, the mountain builder, but returned it to Lender so that he could use it to seal Saifal's tomb away. Following the Dawn War, stories of Lender's Matrix are sparse until 3 centuries before the Twin Cataclysms, when it appears on a list of wonders held in the central treasury of the Sul Imperium. Presumably, it was from this storeroom that Kevali Mok, the founder of the Scarlet Brotherhood, acquired the Matrix, allowing him and his closest followers to escape the rain of colorless fire that destroyed the ancient civilization of the Sul. Since that time, only the occasional rumor of the device has been heard, always employed by some mysterious and powerful servant of the Scarlet Sign. Lender's Matrix is described as a strange, multicolored puzzle box, its operation dictated by moving its components in different directions, some of which are not normally possible in conventional space. The most well-documented function of the Matrix is the transportation of persons and objects instantaneously over vast distances, and even between different planes of existence. Its power over the flow of time in a local area is much more ambiguous and poorly understood.
In the city of Greyhawk, 5 individuals are united by circumstance. A brewer priest, a haunted swordsman, a living relic, a caustic criminal, and a golem without a past. With the drawing of a single card, their lives have been turned upside down. Welcome to The Chimera, a role-playing adventure podcast. Our campaign this season is called Misplaced. It takes place in the venerable setting of Greyhawk, kind of, and we're playing with a modified version of 4th edition Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Vin LeBate, and I play Golden Hydrakashi, a Dragonborn rogue. Joining me today are...
I'm Braden Lamb, and I'm playing Balmo, a halfling cleric.
I'm Jeffrey Bard, and I play Sir Simeon, the human sword mage.
I'm Josh Hallbachner, and I play Ashlar, a warforged sorcerer.
I'm Kacey Smith, and I play Latchkey, a shardmine with the dual classes of Battlemind and Scion.
And I'm Kelly Weissman Asprooth Jackson, the Dungeon Master.
Now, let's get started.
And now, the Drow contingent have their action.
Ooh, actually...
Yep.
Can I, since I did 1 minor and 1 standard, can I also summon up Bach again as a minor?
Yeah, where do you want him?
I
think he's supposed to be adjacent to you.
Yeah.
But that still leaves you with options, so... Here, is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's do that.
All right. Box back on the...
within a range of 20.
Oh, within a range of 20. Wow.
So
anywhere you want, basically.
Ooh, all right. 20. Ooh. What about flanking Orn?
Sure. So, let me see. So, this Drow contingent, right? There's basically a whole bunch of pretty generic, identically equipped dudes. They have their crossbows out. There's this commanding figure who's leading from the front. He's rushed up to the what's basically what was from your perspective the back row of the goblinoid contingent, and is fighting with one long sword and one short sword. And then there's the retriever, the big spider demon thing that is sort of in the back row of the drow grouping. So the commander starts issuing short directives. First in Elvish, says, surrender in the name of Lolth, and you will not be immediately killed. He says this sort of in like much the intonation that I just did, like very pro forma, very like matter of fact. He then repeats the same thing in Common, and then says it again in what sounds like Sul, although nobody in the party speaks Sul. So, but seems like he just repeated the same thing 3 times, trying to cover all the languages he thinks might be on screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
While he's doing that, he strikes out first with his longsword in a sweeping blow against that. Basically, there's like 3 goblins that are, and well, actually 2 hobgoblins and 1 goblin that are like right in front of him, and he just cuts through that line. It's a broad stroke. It cuts decisively through all 3 of them, and he follows up with another cutting strike through in the opposite direction, but through the same line with the short sword. And at the end of those 2 blows, the 3 guys in front of him just drop. So he successfully cuts down the 3 adversaries in front of him. Next, there's a volley of arrows from the crossbowmen that are in the sort of the row behind him here, against the whole rear line, this whole line along this area here, which includes Irnahim and several of the goblins and the specialized bugbear that's been hit already, and Bach. So there's just a hail of arrows in that line. That is enough to clear all of the, not any of the named characters by itself. Let me roll for Bach. What is your armor class, Braden?
Kacey is 19.
Okay. So that's 2 hits for a total of 20 damage on Bach, which should be enough to dissipate him again, right?
Dope. Yeah.
Okay. So Bach dissipates again, and you take the damage from him leaving again.
Okay.
And then lastly, the retriever, its head rears up, and 4 different bolts of energy fire forth from 4 of its eyes. One of them is green, one of them is sort of a whitish blue, one of them is a fiery red and orange, and one of them is just this pulse through the air that doesn't have a color to it, but visibly vibrates the air in front of it, so it's visible.
Mm-hmm.
2 of those, let's say the fire ray and the cold ray, strike this bugbear, and the other 2 strike the named goblin that's over here. That's good enough to kill the bugbear and badly wound the hobgoblin bodyguard over here. All right. So that's the end of the round. We wheel again. The start of the round is Rhyhar. Rhyhar is currently on the floor with a gaping head wound.
Don't like the sound of currently.
The next action goes to Orn. Orn plunges his lance at you again, Sarsimian.
Ugh.
What's your armor class? Is 30, did you say?
No, it's 26 or 28 right now.
Okay. That is enough to hit then.
God damn it.
So the lance comes sort of down because he's got a height advantage on you because of the mounted combat thing, and plunges towards general vicinity of Sarsimian's heart. That's 28 damage.
I grab onto the lance as it pierces through my chest. I am down at negative. You said what? 28?
Wait, no, you should be, because you haven't taken any hits since you woke up, right? So you should have 15 plus your healing surge value.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
because I was
you
at
got
negative 6, so I added 15.
You actually don't. You don't. When you get magical healing, when you are in the dying condition, you don't pay attention to the negatives.
Oh,
You got magical healed. You start from 0. and you get the full benefit of it.
Sweet. I'm still up. I'll take it.
Well, you have no choice.
And the rat creature from its mouth, which is kind of a couple of different mouths that are like connected to each other because it sort of has an ambiguous number of heads and kind of one continuous face.
Oh, that's so gross.
It breathes out this odious, bituminous stench from its mouth, sort of swirls around the area in front of its pseudo face, and it's gross, but it kind of moves about Sarsimian and a couple of the other figures in its immediate vicinity, but then closes in on Rhyhar and kind of forces its way into his face, and the hole in his head closes and his eyes open again, although he's still on the floor.
Oh.
So that happens. And now, Kacey, it is Latchkey's turn.
Oh man, decisions. Man, do I stab Rhyhar again, or do I try for the Barghest? All right, I'm gonna go for the Barghest. So Latchkey is going to, it's got this, they're sort of kneeling on the ground and looking somewhat incapacitated, and they are going to, they're gonna strike. The blade is gonna kind of shimmer, and the two prongs are going to move closer, so they form sort of a single blade instead of two blades with a small space between them, and become a little bit longer and pointier.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're going to kind of just strike for the throat since he's kneeling.
Great. Level 1 stunt.
17.
That's versus AC.
Yes.
And that is a miss.
Okay. Can I do half damage with my stunter? Is that a 2?
I think we determined that that's a 2 because it is too good to be a 1.
Fair.
You could add to the roll with your stunt, but it's actually not enough to clear it. He has a...
All right.
His AC
No
is too
problem.
high.
Okay. No go.
Sadly, a miss. All right. Also on that action goes Irnahim. Irnahim disappears and reappears here in front of Sarsimian.
Ugh.
And while she is still holding a rod in her hand that says 7 parts on it, she reaches into her robe and she pulls out this sort of glimmering, like, it's some sort of a squarish object that's made out of a series of different other squares that are all different colors and all glowing, and some of them are pulsing or flashing in various ways. So she pulls that. So basically has the rod in her right hand. She pulls this thing out with her left. She stows the rod in her robe and then makes a series of motions with her hands where she seems to be moving around different components of it. Rhyhar sees what she's doing and says something to her in Sul with a lot of urgency and is perturbed. He's not happy with what she's doing. She just shakes her head and says something else back. And then there's a pulse of silvery light that sweeps out from the cube over her, over everybody in a several square radius. And as it passes over, Irnahim and Orn and Rhyhar disappear. None of the other goblinoids do.
That's what you call crossing the Rubik's Cube. Nah.
They Tetrised out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Kacey, you took your whole turn, right?
I did.
All right, then it's Rikashi.
Okay, there go all of my plans. So Rikashi lowers the other jellyfish suit to the ground as she had it primed to do something that now makes less sense. And taking a second to survey the battlefield, she just pulls up the crossbow and takes a shot at the Barghest.
Okay, go ahead and roll.
That's a 17, right?
Let's see.
That's a 17, and I can make that versus reflex, which seems like maybe it's an okay idea.
It's not a bad idea, but it's still a miss.
Yeah.
All right, so the pulse of bright light strikes the sort of tile right at the Barghest's feet. It badly scorches it, and the smell is, this burnt stone smell, basically. It's not the most unpleasant smell in the room, even, but it's noteworthy. Anything else from you, Vin?
No.
Okay. Then it's Sarsimian and Ash and the Barghest all go on this next turn.
Josh, you want to go first?
How beat up does the Barghest look at this point?
Very.
Okay. I'm just going to throw both hands out in front of me and just let this complete torrent of fire roll out. Like, it's kind of almost heavy enough that it goes off over the edge of the stairs and then kind of like rolls down onto the ground where it sweeps up and slams into him.
Mm-hmm.
That's a 17 versus Fortitude.
17 versus Fortitude. Okay. That's a miss.
Okay.
The Barghest gives another howl, very distinct in tone from the first one, and this swirl of wolf ghosts basically spills out of his mouth and spirals around like a terrible windstorm out from his body, encompassing a big section of the room, enough to reach all the members of the party and inflict 9 damage. Let me just make sure. Does anybody have a Fortitude of 29 or better?
No.
Nope.
No.
Okay, all right, so 9 damage to everybody.
No attack roll?
Oh, that's right. Sorry, I have to re-roll for Braden. Apologize, Braden.
Sorry.
What's your Fortitude?
Fortitude save is 16.
Yeah, definitely still a hit.
Okay.
What number were you looking for again?
29.
Yeah, I don't have that.
You rolled pretty well. Both times.
That'll take me down, but before that happens.
Oh yes, you still get to take your action before you go back to being dead.
I am going to teleport here.
Mm-hmm.
And so Josh shot his flame ray at the Barghest.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of do a dashing teleport to that location so I can catch some of the fire on Larendenjo.
Mm-hmm.
And then I swirl it about my head and hit this guy with the flame using the blue flame attack. So Sarsimian grabs some of the flame on his sword. The sword kind of eats the flame and turns it blue. And then he pierces the ground right at that, I guess it's a hobgoblin, hobgoblin's feet, where it kind of explodes into this giant fireball. So it'll be a plus 13 to hit this guy.
Okay, I'll give you a level 2 stunt for that. You're incorporating someone else's move.
Take it. That'll be a 30 to hit the hobgoblin.
That's a hit.
Sweet. I totally meant to do that.
Yes. And it's going to, I think, just do normal damage to him. I've got 2 of them. So this is kind of a semi AoE attack. It does 4 damage, just flat 4 fire damage to everybody adjacent to that hobgoblin. Is it possible for me to up the damage on those guys?
Sure. Yeah. I'll give you can double it for each stunt level you give me for it.
All right, then I'll double it twice. So it'll do 12 damage to everybody adjacent to that hobgoblin and 23 damage to that hobgoblin.
Okay.
Wouldn't it be 16 if you doubled it twice?
No,
plus 100%. Okay.
Iterative, yeah. I'll give you the same over again each time you give me. That's how pretty much all the multipliers in this thing work. It's like count it again, count it again, count it again.
Cool.
All right, that is enough to very grievously wound that hobgoblin and also to kill the Barghest.
Nice,
sweet.
So the Barghest howls. I blow it up. We both kill each other.
Yes, it also means that the Barghest was inflicting a pretty gnarly status effect on everybody with that effect, and when it dies, the effect dies. So,
good.
Nice.
That's good. That's a benefit. So Sarsimian is back to being dying again, just in time to see Callista, and Callista's like, "What is going on?" Very freaked out. Since it's now the end of your turn, Jeff, make another saving throw.
All right.
You get the D6.
Yeah.
D6 with the D6.
15. Nothing happens.
Nothing happens. Yes.
Yay.
Yay.
Nothing is a good outcome in this scenario, honestly. We can work with nothing.
And Brayden, it's your turn.
Yes. Okay. I think, things have changed. I just need a second to form a new plan. Balmo is gonna. Oh boy, can I vault off the stairs there safely?
For dramatic effect, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Vault off the stairs there. Land next to Latchkey.
You know what? Give me a dexterity check for that.
That sounds fair. Hey. Natural 19 plus
That's
2,
fine.
21.
You roll a 19. It's not meant to be a difficult check. Yeah.
Fine. Then I'm gonna do one of my. Wait, actually, I think I do need to be next to this guy and do a weapon attack.
Okay.
And this is going to be a priest shield cleric attack.
Mm-hmm.
May our coffins be made from 100-year teak, and may that tree be planted on Monday next week. So it's going to be strength versus his AC. 16.
Against who?
Against the guy right in front of me.
The one that's already been wounded.
Yeah.
Yep. Not a hit.
All right. That's a whiff. And then just a malediction of foam. He just whiffs with the tap handle and then just sort of dumps out the contents of the tankard and says, "Ale's a strong wrestler, fells all she hath met, and makes the ground slippery, though it not be wet." Although it is in this case. So all the enemies in the burst take a -1 penalty to attack rolls and saving throws until the end of my next turn, and are pushed 1 square or dazed.
Your choice. I'm going to say you need to make a
let's say
consistent
dazed.
choice. Okay, so dazed.
Yep.
Okay. So that's pretty successful. You know, this flood of beer foam falls over an area that includes almost all the remaining goblins, the Drow commander, and some of the Drow crossbowmen. The targets in that area are consistently confused looking and perturbed and slightly drunk, basically. That's the end of that turn, or that of Brayden, of your turn. So next it's the Drow turn, but now a chunk of them are dazed. So let's see what's going to happen. Okay. It's a really good effect to inflict on crossbowmen, I'm going to point out.
Nice.
But that's just a couple of them that were in that area of effect. The commander howls out something now much more visibly angry in Elven. One or two of the members of the party speak Elvish, I believe. I know Sarsimian's dead.
Just mostly dead.
So something angrily in Elvish, but doesn't do anything else. The two other dazed crossbowmen spend their turns reloading their crossbows. The other crossbow users advance. So does the retriever. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. And that's how much damage is that. So there's another hail of arrows, which is enough to clear all of the remaining goblinoids. For whatever reason, they haven't targeted the Zag Yi, the negative energy creature, but it's sort of flying around. It's not exactly behaving like a combatant so much as like a weird thing that's maybe affecting the battlefield at this point. That's the action from the crossbowman, and now we need the action from the retriever. Brayden, what is Balmo's reflex?
18.
Okay. So there are, again, 4 bolts of energy coming from the retriever's various eyes. The green one is fired at Balmo but misses entirely. The whitish blue one strikes true and inflicts 29 damage. Cold damage, that matters, on Balmo. And the fire ray strikes Latchkey, and the thunder ray does as well, for a total of 58 damage.
Oh, okay. I'm also dead.
I'm also dead.
Oh, 29 was enough to kill you. Okay.
Yep.
Wow, this is bad.
After having Bach dissipated twice, that took me down quite a bit.
Ah, yes, that'll do it. Okay, so this whole cluster is at death's door. Balmo, you find yourself in that black space that I described for Sar Simeon earlier. You know what, actually, I'm going to skip Balmo for a second. I'm going to focus on Latchkey. Latchkey, you find yourself in that black space that I mentioned before. And sitting in a chair, reading a book that he, seems bothered to be looking up from, is Warren Starcoat.
Right.
What are you... I didn't think that I made you so that you even could die.
Well, I'm more than you made me. At the moment, somewhat less as well.
Balmo, you're in that black space, and you're alone in it for a second. And it's disturbing and very uncomfortable as a place to be. And then there's just a burst of radiant light, like a hole has been ripped in the section of inky blackness in front of you. And standing there, holding a tap handle and a tankard, is Saint Wenta.
Oh, nice.
Well then.
You got connections.
So she just sort of appears, right? It's being in the presence of a divinity is difficult to stay on your feet. You definitely can if you struggle to do so, but the reflex, not just at a mental level, but at a physical level, is to press you to your knees.
Mm-hmm. He does so.
Okay.
He sinks to his knees and says, I know. I don't belong in the front lines. That was stupid. Please let me try again.
Balmo, I have entrusted you with my blessing for years now. What have you done with my gifts?
I've been helping my friends. Or trying to. I've been trying to usher back the darkness. And now and then I've been having a bit of fun.
She smiles. Well, I couldn't begrudge you that, could I?
I hope not.
You have a most important mission, Balmo. Remember my tankard. It is more important than you know.
Seems pretty important.
I am going to send you back into the world. Complete the work that I have entrusted to you. You must live. And your friends can too.
I'll see to that.
She smiles and winks.
Thank you, my lady. He takes off his big floppy hat, and it sweeps the floor, I want to say?
The darkness.
the insubstantial ground that I stand on, yeah.
She reaches out with her tankard and brings it to your lips to let you take a drink. And as she does that, you get a very fine look at it's this beautiful thing crafted of silver and gold with many embellishments and this large sort of complicated set of gems on the front in this arc that's sort of reminiscent of the symbol of Arathis. That gear half circle sort of sunrise effect made out of the gear shape. But it's specifically made out of these gemstones. It's not an he's seen pictures of the tankard before. He knows what it looks like, but it's a nice up close view of it. The flavor of the ale in her tankard is like nothing he's ever tasted before. It's a transcendent experience in and of itself. And as he drinks it, he has a vision of the sea and a space below the sea on the sea floor, and a ship, the wreckage of a ship, and inside that ship, a chest, and inside that chest, the tankard of St. Wenta. And he opens his eyes. He's at full health here. Also, two of his friends are down, and they are surrounded by extremely dangerous drow. And this demon spider, I cannot emphasize enough. Like, I promised that I would highlight to you if you were ever threatened by things that were truly beyond your capacity to defeat. It is absolutely one of those things.
Oh, shit.
Okay. But I'm awake and at full health?
Yes.
Balmo looks a little disoriented for a second, and then speaks to the drow in what's that language? Celestial?
Oh, Supernal.
Supernal.
Yes, that which, by the way, that is what Wenta was speaking to you in, was in Supernal.
Mm-hmm. Although, do I want to speak Supernal to this obviously demonic spider?
I mean, it just shot you with laser beams.
Yeah.
I feel like it's not like you're gonna get worse with the spider.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so in Supernal, halt. Perhaps we can find a way to work together. We also don't want to see our world destroyed. Also, I have some excellent ale for you.
Interesting. All right. Make a diplomacy check.
Okay. Is there time to add a little of that Harmony of Arathis to this?
I sure hope there is, because you're going to need it.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. He as he's standing up before he speaks, then he sort of lifts his tankard to his lips and kind of whispers into it, "Well, we got what we want, but we never what we deserve," and takes a little swig.
While you're rolling that, up on the stairs, Rakashi just nudges Ash and, presuming he turns to look at her, glances down at the suit that she's holding in her hands with her fingers on the latch for the helmet.
Ash will just make a very subtle nod.
So 16. Not great.
Dude, that ain't happening.
Yeah.
The commander, who's the person you need to win over in this situation, just shakes his head and in common says, "Lay down your arms or die. There are no other choices here."
I mean, technically you already died, so...
Balmo's fingers flex on his tap handle, thinking it over, and he sets it down.
Okay. Dude's on the stairs?
I'll put my hands behind my back. That's about the best they're gonna get.
Okay. Rakashi?
I dropped the crossbow. I still have easy access to the suit, but it's a suit.
Mm-hmm. Not a weapon. Yep.
Yep.
Okay. True to their word in the sense that they don't immediately just move to try to coup de grace people. The Drow swarm over the red barrier. They still have crossbows trained on each of you. But sort of they're moving in basically to arrest. I mean, Rakashi, you've been arrested a bunch of times before.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that looks like.
Yep.
Right. They're moving in to take prisoners, not to try and just kill you out of hand. That is what is happening. We're going to end season 1 with the party under arrest by the Doom Patrol.
And 2 of us dead.
As they strong arm Balmo, he says, "Fine, no ale for you."
Anybody else with a parting verbal shot?
I'm not quite dead yet.
Yeah.
I think that we can expect that you will receive enough healing to survive here, people who are at death's door. If nothing else, Balmo didn't actually set the tankard down, so he can probably get in a healing word before he's cuffed or whatever it is. They're going to like spin some spider webs around your wrist. I figure that's the most drowy thing that's possible. Okay, what an interesting place to end season 1 in. I'm fascinated with where this is going.
Me too.
All right.
How high did this rank on your list of possibilities of how season 1 could end?
It was definitely up there. I mean, it was probably less likely than total party kill. An epilogue. From the scene inside the cube, where the acquaintances are being taken into custody by the Doomwatch, restrained with spider webbing spun magically from drow fingertips, having their equipment seized, their ability to act aggressively, cast spells and whatnot, taken away from them. From this scene, we pull back. The camera lifts up into the air, away from the overhead view, until it passes through the walls of the cube, up over the Isle of Monsters, up over the entire vast expanse of the Isle of Dread with its associated sub-islands, up, past the outer edge of this particular level of the abyss, out away from Gaping Maw, up through all the levels of the abyss, one by one, until finally reaching the very top level of the abyss, the plane that is full of portals that lead to various other places throughout the cosmos, up through, past beyond that, through other levels, other points of interest throughout the bizarre, dangerous world that is the elemental chaos, up and up until finally reaching the level of just solid rock that surrounds the infinity of the elemental chaos, which is somehow both vastly larger than the terrestrial world and also inside of it. Don't ask me how that works, it just does. Up through the layer of rock, up through the different levels of the Underdark, passing through Mind Flayer settlements, Aboleth settlements, Drow settlements, up, further and further until finally coming out through the crust of Orth and up above, overhead, seeing the oceans, the green and the blue, the entire colorful sphere that is Orth, further and further back away, out beyond the orbit of Luna, out beyond the orbit of Selene, the two moons, further and further away so that the sun in a distant background can be seen far off and away, and then finally coming to a stop somewhere between, roughly around the midpoint between where Orth hangs in the vastness of space and the distant point where the patchwork realm of the astral sea, where all of those points of interest are. Somewhere in between those two areas, we happen upon what looks almost to be like a nebula made out of mirrors, fragments of mirror, different sizes and shapes, some of them jagged, some of them smooth, just an innumerable number of mirrored surfaces hanging in space in this bizarre cluster. So now here the camera turns, it swirls around so we can kind of get an image of this strange locality, and then pushes through the outer walls of this bizarre mirrored space, through mirror after mirror after mirror, maze-like corridors, different levels again, until we reach just yet another hall of mirrors, except that this one has an occupant, and that occupant is very intently focused on something. So what it is focused on is a particular cluster of particular mirrors. And on these mirrors, unlike most of the other ones around, they're not reflected what is in the room, but reflections of distant locations. And almost all of them have to do with our companions. There's one that is just sort of the general view of what is going on inside the cube right at this moment, watching the acquaintances being arrested by the drow. Several of them that are zoomed in on one particular member of the party or another. Others that are apparently concentrated entirely on a given item. There's one that's just watching Larendenjo, apparently, just sort of focused on Larendenjo. Another one that's focused on the locket that Rakashi recently received from Darbin Tolric. That locket is secreted somewhere on her person. She's hidden it, but somehow the mirror is able to see inside of whatever pocket or other location she has hidden it, and the image is just of that locket resting in what should otherwise be darkness somewhere wherever she has stored it. So all of these different oddly shaped pieces of mirror are all showing different images. There are a few more that don't seem to be related to the cube, for instance. That party of Sewell, who just moments ago teleported away, they can be seen, apparently all of them alive, I might add, arguing somewhere in a forested area about what it's not terribly clear. But all of this is visible in this array of mirrors, and the figure watching it is a creature that is composed of components of a goat, a lion, and a red dragon. It stands on 2 legs on its hind hooves with its leonine arms crossed. It has 3 heads, a goat, a lion, and a red dragon's head, and above each of those heads there is a golden crown that hovers in the air just above its brow, each of them turning slowly. The creature watches what is unfolding on these mirrors with great interest and apparent concern. And as the scene below unfolds, as the party is arrested, it reaches out one of its massive leonine fists and smashes the mirrors in anger, roaring, bellowing, each of the heads making its own noise of rage. And here, the image ends.
That's it this week for the Chimera. Our theme music is Hoof, Heart, and Hiss by Matt Weber. You can find a link to more of Matt's work and any other music used in this episode in the show notes. You can support the show by going to patreon.com/chimerapod, or by leaving us a rating on your favorite podcast app, or just by telling a friend. We'll be back with a new episode in 2 weeks, but if you want to see what we're up to in the meantime, you can find us online at thechimera.space or on Twitter or Facebook at chimerapod. Thanks for listening.
It's definitely going to be interesting. This is, yeah. I thought maybe you guys would just run for it. You have a teleportation chamber ways away. I figured like, oh, okay. Probably when it gets gnarly, they're going to be like, oh, we should fall back and we can like go to one of the other locations. But
it got gnarly.
This is interesting too.
Really quick, yeah. I think is actually the biggest issue.
Is that
it really had an opportunity really quick.
Kept falling down.
I said leave the room. No one left the room.
I had to save Latchkey.
Aw, thanks.
Well, no, this is fascinating. I can't wait to find out what happens in season 2, in season iteration of this in the future, whenever we get back to it.
Yay.
Great. Good game, everybody.
Awesome.
Good game, guys.
Yay.
Thanks, Kelly.
It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I think we can probably stop recording.
Oh, yeah.